All right, PK, here we go. I am so glad for tonight. I am so glad that it is November 2nd, the year 2013, one of the greatest nights in the history of OSWA. And you want to know why, PK?
Why is that?
I'll tell you why, because there's a new addition to OSWA. In fact, there's a new addition to the show, and it's about time that he came back. The best of the best, Zach Daniels. In fact, he's right here, right now. Zach, come on in. How are you doing?
Well, let me first of all say thank you for your great respect
Absolutely.
every time I come in this building. And you disgust me. So keep your mouth shut. You don't get to shake Zach Daniels' hand. You understand? Zach Daniels is back in the OSWA, and it feels good.
So you're back again, I like to call you. My nickname for you, it's kind of like a loving name, I guess, is the Bad Penny of the OSWA. You keep turning back up. So, the questions I've got for you is, you've kind of aligned yourself back with the show. Is that because you haven't fared out so well in the singles competition, so you kind of want to join a stable?
Let me cut you off right there.
Yeah, hold on.
First off, you're disrespecting me when I'm in the ring. You're disrespecting me when we're in interviews. I mean, what is this coming to? Let me just tell you something. I'm not back in the OSWA with the show just because you feel, or they feel, or whatever they feel, or however you feel. That doesn't matter. I'm back in the OSWA because the one, the only, Hollywood, the brains that he is, brought me back in the OSWA. And that is all that matters.
And Zach Daniels, I just want to say, I think it's awesome that you are part of the show. I always call them the Stable of Champions and the Golden Stable. And I know that you're going to bring plenty of gold to the great stable of the show.
So what do you see as far as your future here in the OSWA then, Zach?
My future in the OSWA? My future in the OSWA? You should ask yourself that question.
Already have.
Your future in the OSWA? You have no future. Without Zach Daniels in your ear, your future is dead.
I love it, Zach Daniels. What a privilege to have you here in the OSWA. And I'll tell you something, people. This guy here is one of the best on the mic. He's the best in the ring. And don't you forget it. Absolutely, Zach Daniels. We will definitely see you, and we will see you with gold around your waist. Eat your heart out,
Well,
PK.
Joe, I'd love to exchange more of the yelling, witty banter that we had going, but apparently he had had enough. And so let's go ahead and talk about the matches that we had here tonight. First, we had the inaugural match of Brandon Cage versus El Pollo del Diablo. Now, we have seen El Pollo del Diablo here before, but Brandon Cage, he has wrestled all throughout the Southeast and has held championships in various groups. Now, I've got to tell you something, Joe, it doesn't surprise me. Tonight, he's wrestling El Pollo del Diablo, and he delivers his finishing maneuver, the shock and awe for the pin.
Yeah, so he got a lucky win. So what? Because we will see in the future that he's just another ham and egger that came in and tried to make a name for himself here in the OSWA and to no avail.
Well, speaking of lucky winners, our next match is including one of the lucky winners that you talked about, Brozilla versus Zach Blaine. Last week, or 2 weeks ago at Experience, Zach Blaine got the win by pinning a fake Brozilla. So before the match, he brings in the fake Brozilla again to get him to admit that he's Brozilla. Then the real Brozilla comes in, and they start going at it. And so then at that point, the show comes out, because I could tell they were coming. You want to know how I could tell they were coming? I could smell them before they even made it into the ring. And so they come in.
You stop it, PK. I can sense them coming because I can sense greatness. That's how I can see them coming. And it's about time that you do the same thing.
Joe, the only thing I can sense right now is your halitosis. But anyways, so the show comes into the ring, and next thing you know, the Devlins come out to defend Brozilla because he is taking he is on the back end of a beat down, and then all of a sudden, of course, the show in true fashion, they all exit the ring. And,
whatever, PK.
Well, Joe, I'm just telling you what I see. I got to call it like I see it. And so then all of a sudden, Clint Eller sets them up for a 6-way tag. But then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, we don't know who the show's going to pick because Rod Bolt's going to be in a match later on with Jake Hughes. And of course, we're left in the lurch, and there is some mystery to that, and we'll get to that later.
Absolutely. Once again, Clint Eller being jealous of the show, trying to find ways to make him lose. Well, too bad, Clint, because that's all in vain. I'll definitely tell you that, PK, because I'll tell you what, they're stable of champions. They're going to be just gold all around their waist.
And Joe, is it all in vein or all in artery? But we're going to go on from there.
Shut up.
Next, we had White Trash versus Will Caution and the Werewolf. And of course, Cody McCauley, he had to come out and join in the fun and games as well.
Absolutely, PK. I'll tell you something. Cody McCauley's one of the best. He's always looking for a way to get into a fight.
Okay, Joe, wait a minute. Is Cody McCauley the best of the best, or is it Zach Daniels? Because I could have swore he said that Zach Daniels was the best of the best.
Well, I'll tell you something. Cody McCauley, he's getting near Zach Daniels' level.
Wow.
But I'll tell you something.
Joe, I don't think Zach Daniels would even appreciate that comment. But anyways, let's move on. So that during the match, Will Caution, he reaches into his trousers, basically, pulls out a weighted glove, does a Superman punch, knocking out Jimmy Lee.
That's your spin, PK. So he put a glove on. Big deal.
Joe was a weighted glove, and so he was able to get the pin and the victory for the werewolf and Will Caution. Well, then all of a sudden, of course, they start attacking then White Trash, and who comes out? Mystic Storm. Mystic Storm comes out, and all of a sudden it's on.
Yeah, always looking for a fight. So jealous of the great Cody McCauley.
Now, Joe, the next match after that really caught my eye because I thought it was very odd. Chad Silva, a former contender for the Ultimate Championship, takes on two Squires whose size basically when you put them together, don't even equal one Chad Silva.
Yeah, I don't get that at all. Besides, what is he doing in the ring? He has no business in the ring. He should get his knee healed up so he can get back into competitor shape.
Well, Joe, I'll tell you something. It was an interesting match. It was a handicap match technically, but it didn't end that way. But what was interesting was to see Z Williams on the outside watching the match from ringside. That was something I didn't expect because he's already technically beaten him. And so if he's already beaten Chad Silva, then why is he going to be out there kind of taunting him ringside? I don't get it.
Mind games, Paul. Mind games, PK. I'll tell you something. Z, that's what makes him a champion. He knows how to get into the heads of the other wrestlers. So he already beat Chad Silva. So what? It doesn't hurt to kick that dead horse.
Well, Joe, what's really interesting for me out of all this is that Chad Silva, he beats down and winds up beating both of the Squires.
Which is no Hercules.
In fact, he hits them with his final maneuver, which he calls the final verse for the pin. Then, he takes out the trash, and all of a sudden, this much larger Squire that looks like the two of them almost put together comes out and basically, in a sense, without verbally saying it, but with his eyes, issues a challenge to Chad Silva.
Yeah, we're going to see what happens there. So it looks like this Squire's got a little more, should I say, muscle.
I would agree.
To this guy. And I'll tell you something, Chad Silva, he needs to keep out of that ring, or else he's going to end his career with his big ego.
Well, Joe, the next match we had was Jake Hughes versus Rod Bolt. And it's interesting, Joe, like I've said before, I love Jake Hughes' entrance video. You know why? All the footage is of him beating up on Rod Bolt, a member of the show.
Oh, it's just his wannabe mind games. But Rod Bolt is way too smart for Jake Hughes.
Well, Joe, I don't know if he was way too smart, but I'll tell you this much. Jake Hughes had him tapped out in a Boston Crab.
I didn't see any tapping.
Well, Joe, he was tapping out because obviously your sunglasses are a little too dark for what goes on in the O. And while he was tapping, the ref was distracted by security Shane and members of the show probably looking for a sandwich.
Oh,
and so then Jake released it, and then Bolt comes in with a low blow and basically pile drove Jake Hughes into the mat and got the pin.
Yeah, that's a loser's lip. The point is, Rod Bolt won fair and square, and there ain't nothing that you or anybody can do about it.
Joe, your definition of fair and square is way off. You might want to look up what that term means. Then we had Cody McCauley versus Mystic Storm. Now, Joe, remember, they're in a tournament match, right?
Absolutely.
Best out of two out of best three falls, and this one was a lumberjack match. And so basically, it was a good match, very physical match. They went back and forth, but then Mystic Storm hit Cody McCauley twice with a super kick to the face and was able to pin him. Also, when he pinned him, he won the 24/7 championship. So tonight, we saw a turnover in that championship from Cody McCauley to Mystic Storm. Now they're tied up in this tournament, one each. And at the next show, we're going to see who's going to come out on top in this feud.
That's right. Watch the title change right back to Cody McCauley, because it won't be a lumberjack match. I seriously doubt it, unless Clint gets jealous of Cody McCauley again and brings out way too many people, way too many wrestlers or lumberjacks on Cody's side.
Well, Joe, then we had the Brozilla versus the Devlins, and then the show comes out, and now we got to figure out who their mystery guest is, and it turns out to be your boy, the man who you have strong pheromones for, Zach Daniels.
Stop that pheromone stuff. I'll tell you something. Just because I recognize greatness doesn't mean I have some sort of aura or pheromones, whatever it is you're trying to say. The point is, they're the best. and there ain't nothing anybody can do about it.
Wait.
Nothing.
Is it Zach Daniels the best of the best, or is it Cody McCauley? Because
Well, you shut
kind of gone back and forth with
Hey,
that.
you know those guys. You know, it's okay to have more than one person at the top.
Well, Joe, you can only be best of the best. There's only one best of the best.
The best of the
Is
best.
he better of the best, or is he best of the better? Anyways, let's move on. So
The
then,
show's
anyways,
the best anyway.
so Zach Daniels comes out, and it was a great match. And it basically devolves into a free-for-all fight. And out of nowhere, Zach Blaine takes from our table the corporate championship belt, which was vacated, hits Brozilla on the head, knocking him out, and getting the pin for the show and Zach Daniels.
What can I say? The show won. A W's a W. Too bad, people. The show is just too darn good for any of those other wrestlers out there.
Okay, there's one man's opinion. Anyways, then our final match, our co-main event for the evening, was Z versus Taco. Now, Joe, I like Taco. I think he's a great guy. He's a great wrestler. The fans love him. My kids love him. Who doesn't like Taco?
Nobody cares about that overgrown sewer rat.
Well, Joe, regardless of how you may feel about him, he did bite off a little more than he could chew.
Obviously.
And it was a great match on the part of Taco, but Z Williams, I think, was just too big of a wrestler for him. Z hit him with a final nail, which is his finishing maneuver for the win, and he walks away with the Ultimate Championship.
What can I say? Z was just too big, too strong, and too good. I ain't got nothing else to say about that, PK.
I'm so glad, because it's time to wrap this up. Well, you guys, as I said before, today is November 2nd, 2013. Our next show will be November 16th, 2013, in 2 weeks here at the O Arena. And by the way, it's also our anniversary show. And basically what we're doing is you can go on our website, oswaentertainment.com, and there's certain things you can vote for, like Wrestler of the Year, even a Snake of the Grass of the Year, and other things. Also, we've got going on is a coat drive. You know, it's a cold time of year. A lot of people in this area, unfortunately, need help. And so if you bring in a gently used coat, we'll give you half off on your next ticket. And Joe, I'll tell you something. I love our fans here at the O Show. And Joe, you are starting to develop your own fan base. I got to tell you
They're all
something.
my fans. What are you talking
Well,
about?
Joe, you're definitely getting a cult following. And as a matter of fact, Joe, one of your biggest fans brought this in today.
What is this? What, you call this art? You call this making a statement? I'll tell you something, PK. Whoever made this sign, I'm going to tear it up right in front of their face.
Well, Joe, I think it shows the will of the fans. Folks, I'm looking forward to seeing you November 16th back here at the O.